The ideas you always share, always take them very, very serious and try to implement and see if there is a way we can actually get better results, better performance when it comes to trading. For example, there is a guy who reached out and his request was on the Vashuk. For example, we have this robot that is the over Vashuk monster. The robot is trading over two. The moment you get two consecutive Vashuk losses, the robot executes a trade on over two. Then in case of a loss, the robot will switch to over 4 markets, where it will actually be looking for, that is 4 consecutive Vashuk losses, then execute the recovery market over 4. Then after you make a recovery, that is the switches to over 4 market. The current robot is actually set in such a way that you can actually the robot can actually like trade till wins. That means like the moment you make a loss on over 2 and switches to over 4, you hit 4 consecutive partial losses, then it switches to over 4. The robot will continue trading and trading until you make a recovery. So there's a guy who was requesting like the robot to take first 2 trades, then in case it doesn't manage to recover, the robot to actually pause, then wait for some other 4 consecutive partial losses, then try to execute another recovery of 2. And I think it's actually a good idea. I also tried to test the same, and I can actually see like after from my testing, I can say the results are really amazing. It actually performs better than the previous version. So here is the idea. So we'll be trading over 2 with over 4 recovery. For over 2 market, the robot will actually be waiting for 2 consecutive partial losses. Then in case of a loss, the robot will switch to over 4, wait for a look for, that is 4 consecutive partial losses, then execute the recovery market. But it will only take that is 2 trades. Yeah, so it will take 1 trade in case it on over 4, 1 trade. In case it doesn't recover, it will apply the material immediately and attempt to make a recovery. In case it doesn't, the robot will pause. Will actually pause and wait for another 4 consecutive partial losses and execute another trade on over 4. So here now it will execute some other 2 other extra trades. So in case it manages to recover with the third one, it's fine. In case it doesn't, it actually applies a martingale again and tries to recover. And I think the idea is working so well, and that's what I want to share. Just check out this. There is this idea that I was trying to share when you are trading with that is with a Vashuk. For example, the over Vashuk monster, we have the under Vashuk monster. There's some adjustment that you can make. So someone reached out and requested for the same. Like for example, let's say you are trading something like over 2, you hit 2 consecutive partial losses, the robots execute a trade on over 2. In case of a loss, the robot switches to over 4. It will actually be looking for 4 consecutive partial losses. Then the moment you hit those 4 consecutive partial losses, the robot will execute trade on over 4 to try make a recovery. But now this was the idea. The current configuration of these robots will actually be waiting for 4 consecutive partial losses, execute a trade on over 4. In case of a loss, the robot will apply martingale till recovery. So, and that one can sometimes end up blowing up your account. So someone shared an idea like the robot to actually, when it comes to the recovery market, which is over 4, they'll actually be waiting for 4 consecutive partial losses. Then in case you hit those partial losses, the robot to switch to over 4, execute a trade on over 4, first trade on over 4. In case it doesn't win, apply the martingale, try to make a recovery. In case it doesn't manage, it should not apply the martingale immediately. Instead, it will actually wait for some other 4 consecutive partial losses and try to make another attempt. So instead of just making the first attempt and applying martingale till you win, right, we have a break on that is the partial losses, so that at least in case the market was bad, we can give it time to actually get better and at least have more chances of recovery. And actually backtested it and actually performed so well, and now I wish to share the idea. So I'll just click select bot and I'll still load the same robot that is on over 2. This on the over, we have the over, but you can still apply the same idea that is on the under Vashuk monster, because I'll actually explain that by the end of this video. So I'll just click over, and this robot is set to trade over 2. So we'll just click here, set our stop trading. I'll set this stop loss. I can just work with 5. Then target profits, we have an account of like let's say 1200. So I'll just target that is 100 USD. Then I'll close that. Let me see the stop loss. I need to increase this. I don't need it. So I'll actually work with the stop trading option as my stop loss. Volatility, you can actually use any. So I'll just need to click here, select like 75 1S, then cancel the default, then close that. Let's go to the risk manager. So we'll actually do a stake of 30 USD like that, then close that. So we already done that's doing the setting for this robot, but there are those adjustments that we need to do so that we can actually have that what you call the break, that a small break, that is when it comes to the recovery. So we'll not be changing market one. If you check market one, it's actually trading over 2. Yeah. Then if you go to the value hook, you can actually see we are looking for 2 consecutive value losses, then execute one trade, either win or loss. In case a loss, the robot will switch to market 2. This is our market 2, and our market 2 is over 4. Well, let's close that. Now let's go to the value hook. So the moment you hit 4 consecutive value losses, you can actually see it was actually trading live until you win. So now we need to deactivate this and set this to 2. So what this means, the moment you hit 4 consecutive value losses, the robot will actually let me zoom it a bit. Okay, so the moment you hit 4 consecutive value losses, the robot will switch to over 4 and execute the first trade to make a recovery. In case it doesn't, switches apply the material and tries to recover. In case it doesn't, it'll actually pause and wait for 4 consecutive value losses, then attempt again. So that was it. So what we have just done is we have just disabled this option. You can actually see currently it's enabled, so we just need to enable, then switch these to 2. Make sure this one is 2. So the next thing now we need to do is just click this start button. This is our execution button. Then let's see the performance. So when we hit 2 consecutive value losses, the robot will actually execute the recovery market. Okay, now the trades are happening. 2 consecutive value losses, then the robot execute a trade on over 2. In case of a loss, which will be looking for 4 consecutive value losses, then execute a trade on over 4. Yeah, okay. So we said like the value helps you distribute reduce the losses on deal account by distributing those losses to a value account. Yeah, so far we haven't had any consecutive losses. Here we are, and you can actually see the robot has switched. We have hit on a loss, so now we are looking for 4 consecutive value losses. Those are 2. No, we need 4 consecutive. So you can decide to work with 4, you can decide to work with 3. Okay, those are 2, 3, 4, switch, boom, recovered. You can actually see that's the recovery. And it's always best when you're trading with a value hook. If you are using your PC, it will actually give you the best view, the best results, good performance. Yeah. So we hit on another loss. So now the robot we hit on another loss, but still managed to make a recovery. Okay. So we are still now trading on over 2. So the moment you have that is you have those you have that option enabled, like disabled, that is live trade till win disabled. That means on over 4 we'll only execute a maximum of 2 trades per entry. Like the moment it switches, it can only execute a maximum of 2 trades. Then in case it doesn't, it will pause and wait for a fresh entry. That will actually give you more chances of recovery. Yeah, and there we are. You're currently floating at a profit of 51.8 US dollars. I'll also try to do a video on how you can actually do that is how you can actually be able to do that is markets like under 7 with under 5 recovery, where you can actually be able to disable that option and set it as 2, just like we did on this robot. And I think in the next about 3 trades, we'll actually be able to hit our target profit. Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance where the robot has hit more than has actually switched to over 4 and hit more than 2 losses, so that at least you can get the better view. But you can always go and backtest on the demo and see the results. I think in case we win, our next trade is a win. I think we'll be hitting, that is our target profit. And there we are. You can actually see we have managed to match our target profit, and we have closed at a profit of 103 USD. So that's the value. For when you're trading with the value, you don't need to do any analysis. So let me just give a repeat. So this is where you set up your stop loss. You click here because the maximum consecutive losses you can take. Then you have target profit and stop loss guard. This is your target profit and stop loss. In case you wish to work with this, it's all fine. This is where you set up volatility. Volatility, you can use any random volatility. The risk manager, this is where you set up your stake. This is a stake, and this is a stake, and this is a material. Let's close that. Then if you go to market 2, so the only part you're supposed to adjust is just come to market 2, then scroll down, then you have this virtual hook. So switch to nil after 4 consecutive virtual losses and praise only a maximum of 2 trades. Yeah. So in case the robot praises the first trade and it's a win, it will automatically switch to over 2. Yeah, and now it will actually be looking for 2 consecutive virtual losses. But in case it doesn't, that's when it will actually execute the second trade. So that's what you need to understand. In case you are trading using the under virtual monster, so let me just load it, this one. So this one is actually trading under 7 with under 5 recovery. So you'll just come set up your stop trading. These details are the same with the other robot here. So the only difference comes in when it comes to the markets. So market 1, you can actually see it's actually set to trade under 7. Then if you go to the virtual hook, you can actually see we are looking for 2 consecutive virtual losses on under 7, then execute 1 trade. Either it's a win or loss. In case it's a loss, that's when the robot switches to under, that is to market 2, where market 2 is under 5. Let's close that option. Then let's go to the virtual hook. So if you open the virtual hook, you can actually see the robot is actually looking for 4 consecutive virtual losses, then it will live trade till win. So what you need to do is now just disable this and set this to 2. What this means is that you can also try to work with 1 and see how best it performs. What this means is that like the moment you hit on a loss, when the robot switches, you hit 4 consecutive virtual losses on over 4 market, the robot will only execute 1 trade. In case it doesn't win, it will actually wait for some other 4 consecutive virtual losses, then execute another trade. So you might decide to execute those single recovery trades, or you may choose to work with 2. So you can just go and backtest the 2 and see how best it actually performs. I always like giving choices so that at least once you backtest, see what works best for you, or what you think works best for you. Then once you backtest, see what works best for you, then you can just apply it. But you can just go and try. I would recommend 2, but you can also go and try and see in case once you hit a loss on over 4, you wait for some other 4 consecutive, attempt again, hit some other 4, attempt again. You can just go and give a try and see how best it performs. For this specific trade, that's how we performed. That's all. Bye-bye.